Hi, so today our topic is compound interest, special application of annuities, which is the topic number 10. And by this way, we are going to complete this business mathematics table of discussions, all the points what we want to discuss. So let's start with this topic, and in this topic we're going to talk about four different types of annuities and why we are named it as a special annuities, because you remember we discussed in annuities there must be a four conditions, it is for a fixed period of time, and it is for in which there is a fixed amount of payment over a period of time, and the interest rate is fixed, as well as the number of payments within a year is also fixed. So by this way, these are the four conditions, and if any one of the four conditions is going to be relaxed, then we have to treat them as a special annuity. So the first what we want to discuss today is deferred annuity. So deferred annuity is annuity which is going to be start later on. So we can divide this deferred annuity into two stages. One stage in which we just calculate the simple interest, compound interest formula, but in a simple way, the interest over that period. And in the second stage, we're going to apply the annuity formula, and we calculate the annuity because the payment of the annuity started later on. And that's why we call it as a deferred or a delayed, or later on the payments will start for the deferred payments. Constant growth annuity, we discussed that the annuity payments are fixed in a normal annuity, but if this payment, or we call it as a PMT, is going to grow with a constant rate over the period of annuity, then we treat it as a constant growth annuity. It's not a simple normal annuity, it's a special annuity, and we call it as a constant growth annuities. The third is a perpetuity, and perpetuity is a case in which the payment is forever. So as you know, the condition of a normal annuity is that it should be a limited time, like it can be a 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 25 year, but must be a defined time, that there must be an end time for that we pay or receive the annuities. But in a perpetuity case, this end time is not defined, and we call it as for infinite period. So if it is for infinite period or unlimited time, or there is perpetual payments, then we treat it as a perpetuity. So it's not going to be a normal annuity. And the last one is an appropriate example to discuss annuities, and especially the special annuities, is a lease. We buy assets on lease, and there is a two parties involved in the lease. One is the lessor, the one who is lending the asset, and the one is lessee, the one who is getting the asset. So let's start in detail about the deferred annuities. A deferred annuity is a financial transaction where annuity payments are delayed until a certain period of time has elapsed. So for the first stage, there is no annuity payment during that period. Usually the annuity has two stages as depicted here. Sorry. Accumulation stage, a single payment is allowed to earn interest for a specified duration. A single payment is allowed to earn an interest for a specified period, like that's a period in which there is no annuity payment. So there are no annuity payment during this period of time, which is commonly referred to as a period of deferral. So that's the first stage, and that's a period of deferral or a deferred period, so in which there is no annuity payment. The second stage is that in which the payment starts. The annuity takes the form of any of the four annuity types and start at the beginning of this stage as per the financial contracts. So when we are saying four different types of annuities, so we already discussed many times before that annuities are of four different situations. One is the present value ordinary. You remember when the payments of the annuities are at the end of the every annuity period, then it is ordinary, and if the payment is in the beginning of the annuity period, then it is annuity present value due or future value due, or a present value ordinary, or a future value ordinary when the payments are at the end. So there is a difference of these four annuities. So we can use any of the four annuities for the payment stage of the deferred annuities. Note that the maturity of the accumulation stage is the same as the principal for the payment stage. So here is an example. There are two examples we are discussing today here for this deferred annuity payments. So let's start with this. Frazier is a 33-year-old and just received an inheritance from his parents' estate. He wants to invest an amount of money today such that he can receive 5,000 at the end of every month for 15 years when he retires at the age of 65. If he can earn 9% compounded annually until age 65 and then 5% compounded annually when the fund is paying out, how much money must he invest today? So that's what, as we mentioned, there are two stages. And in this case, the first stage is like we want to find out how much he has to invest so that he gonna get in the second stage 5,000 per month in the end, yes, at the end of every month for the 15 years. So it's a two-stage annuity, but we started with the second stage first because we want to know how much money should be in at the time of when he will be of a 65 years, when he will be of a age of 65, how much money should be in the account so that he will be able to get $5,000 per month at the end of each month for next 15 years. So we want to find out the present value, right? We want to find out the present value at the age of retirement. So we want to find out present value ordinary. Why we are using ordinary? Because it is at the end of each month. What is P? So the formula, for that is PMT, and here the PMT is 5,000, and we know it is 1 minus 1 over 1 plus which is I. Now what is I in it? So we know that it is 9%, 5% compounded annually when the fund is paying out. So it's a 5%, not 9%. 9% is in the first stage. So we are calculating first the 5%. Now 5% compounded annually. So it means that I is also 5%. And we can write it here 0.05 exponential. Now what is CY? What is PY? CY is 1 and PY is 12. And N in this case is going to be how much? 15, right? Because 15 years into 12 is going to be 180. And you have to divide it with 1 plus 0.05 exponential 1 by 12 minus 1, and this one is closed. So you see here, this is the way that we can solve it. And when we solve it, this is the step 1, but it is a stage 2 we are applying here. Step 1. So present value ordinary is 6,636.925.79. That should be amount in their account at the age of 65. Now what he should invest today, we want to find out the present value today of this amount if the amount is growing at the rate of 9% compounded, 9%. compounded annually, right? So the second step is, in this case, is going to be like, we want to find out present value. So you see, future value divided by 1 plus I exponential n, right? So we can apply future value is 363,925.79 divided by 1 plus 0.09 exponential n. Now n is cy into years. Now how many years are there? It's a good question, right? But you have to see here, he is right now 33 and he wants this payments should start at the age of 65. So how many years are there? So 32 years. So we can write it here as a 32. And we can see here that if you solve this present value, so you get the value 40,405.54. This much should Fraser should invest in this particular annuity right now, so that after retirement, after the age of 65, he will be able to get 5,000 per month over the next 15 years. Is it clear? So this is the first question we want to discuss with you. The second one is, Bashir wants an annuity earning of 4.3% compounded semi-annually to pay him 2,500 at the beginning of every month for 10 years. To achieve his goal, how far in advance of the start of the annuity does Bashir needs to invest 50,000 at 8.25% compounded quarterly? Assume 91 days in a quarter. So Bashir wants an annuity earning of 4.3% compounded semi-annually to pay him 2,500 at the beginning of every month for 10 years. So that's an annuity. To achieve his goal, how far in advance of the start of the annuity does Bashir needs to invest 50,000? Now, the question here is that, again, we will do again the first step first, that how much the present value of that annuity at the age of retirement, or no, at the point when is going to be able to pay this 2,500 for next 10 years. So there is no age of retirement in it. So we start with again with the step 1, and we have to find out. Now here you have to look at beginning of every month for 10 years. So that's a beginning, means we have to calculate present value due, right? And this is a good example to cover both the topics. So the present value due and present value ordinary, the formula is only difference that we're gonna multiply it with 1 plus I exponential cy over py. So let's it is 2,500 and the formula is 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.0125 exponential cy over py. So this is compounded semi-annually. So 2 cy is 2 and py is 12. 2 by 12, and this is going to be n. Now n 10 years, and how much they have to pay? They have to pay 12 per year, so 120, sorry. And then you have to divide it with the 1 plus 0.0215 exponential 2 by 12 minus 1, and then you have to multiply this with 1 plus 0.0215 exponential 2 by 12, right? So if you solve it, you will get it this one, 244.780. Yeah, 780.93. Now, the question is not asking the amount, because 50,000 is given. Like, he wants to invest 50,000, which is going to be after how many times is going to be 244,780.93 divided by 1 plus, the interest rate is 8.25 compounded quarterly. So quarterly means we have to divide it with the 4, and when we divide it with the 4, the percentage is 1 plus 0.02065 exponential cy over p, exponential n. Now n is cy is 2, and we want to find out, basically what we want to find out, we want to find out n. So this is our question. So you see, in this all variables, the only variable is n in alphabet order. All others are numeric, so we can solve it. And you remember that we have to solve it in a way that we say len 4.895618 is equal to n into len 1.02065, and when you solve it, you get n is equal to 77.801923 quarterly compounded. So if we want to find out, because this is quarterly, this is quarterly, so if we want to find out years, how we can do it? We divide this 77.801923 divide by 4, so we get it 19 years and 3 months. So what we discuss is deferred annuity, or a annuity with the two-stage payments. One is in which there is a simple one single payment, and on which we calculate the compound interest over that period, and then later on we have to start an annuity. Constant growth model, or you can say that constant growth annuities, in which we have to find it out that how much is the future value or a future present value if the annuity or a PMT is growing with a certain growth rate or a fixed growth rate. So the formula is changing, and you see here I presented all the 4 formulas. This is future value ordinary, future value due, present value ordinary, present value due. The main change in this formula with the other 4 formulas are this percentage change, and this is the rate of change in the annuity. So wherever there is you see here, you multiply it with the 1 plus delta, which is a change, percentage change into n minus 1 into the same formula, but we divide it here with 1 plus percentage change in annuity, exponential n minus 1, and same way you see most of the time. So this is a little bit more complex formula as compared to the other. So a constant growth annuity is an annuity in which each annuity payment is increased by a fixed percentage. So here is an example, like Bradford is 27 years old and starts investing 3,000 per year into his RRSP, earning 9% compounded annually. He decides that each year he will increase his contribution by 2.5%. Calculate the annuity value at the age of 65 for both an ordinary annuity and annuity due. So ordinary annuity and annuity due. So the main difference between this and this is a 1 plus I exponential cy over py multiplied. If you multiply this annuity, ordinary annuity, with this element, you get it annuity due. So it's not so difficult. So we calculate annuity, ordinary annuity, and then we multiply this with the 1 plus. Now in this case, everything is very simple, very straightforward. The only thing that you have to use this 0.25% growth, annual growth. So let's start. We do this question in a way that we required to do. So here is a case like we want to find out future value ordinary, right? And 3000 is the PMT into 1 plus 0.025 is the growth rate. That's a delta percentage. And the exponential is you see here 27 years old and 65. So how much is the time if you calculate it? It's 38, but 38 minus 1 is going to be 37, right? So it's going to be 37, n minus 1 multiply by, it's 1 plus 0.09 exponential 1 by 1, because both are both are annually, divided by 1 plus 0.025 1. There is no need of an exponential, so this is n, which is 38, divided by minus 1 divided by 1 plus 0.09 exponential 1 by 1, and you have to divide it again with the 1.025 minus 1, and that's, so if you calculate it, you get it 1,102,199.91. That's a future value ordinary ORD. Right now, if you want to find out future value due, so what you do, you find out future value due is future value ordinary multiply by 1 plus 0.09 exponential 1 by 1, because both are CY and PYRs. So you get it 1201 point decimal 397.90. Okay, so the next question is, how much money is required today to fund our 10-year annuity earnings 5.6% compounded quarterly, where the first monthly payment will be 2000 and each payment will be grow by this, calculate as both ordinary and annuity. Now what we want to, how much money is required today, so it's going to be present value. A 10-year annuity, we want to find out the present value. So here we find out the future value, because we want to see Bradford will get how much money if he invested this much money regularly for the next 38 years. So that's a future value, but here we are talking about the present value. So let's start with this. So again, the formula is very simple. We can see here so we can see here present value ordinary, so it's going to be 2000 divided by 1 plus 0.002, right? And then we have a same 1 minus 1 plus 0.002 over 1 plus 0.014 exponential 4 by 12, and this whole exponential is of 120, 10 years. That's, and we have a 1 plus 0.014 exponential 4 by 12 divided by 1 plus 0.002 minus 1. So when you calculate it, you're going to get it as a, like right now, if we invested 205,000, 061.74. And if we want to find out ordinary, we want to find out due, then we have to find out present value ordinary multiply by 1 plus 0.014 exponential 4 by 12. So by this way, you're gonna get it like a 206,014.26. That's our for ordinary. Okay, so then comes the perpetuity, and perpetuity is a special type of annuity that has a fixed regular payment continuing indefinitely. If the principal of the investment is never withdrawn, then the interest earned each period can be withdrawn without affecting the future interest earnings of the investment. Therefore, the annuity continues to earn the same amount of interest each and every time in every future interval, and can pay out interest forever. So the formula for is little bit different, but that's a very specific formula for a perpetuities. So perpetuities, whenever there is a question regarding perpetuities, we're going to use this formula, which is PMT over, if we want to find out the future value ordinary, so we can present value ordinary. So present value ordinary, PMT over, there is no future value. For perpetuities, there is no future value. Perpetuities, in case of a perpetuities, we always calculate the present value of that perpetuity, or the price of that perpetuity, by PMT over 1 plus I CY over PY minus 1 exponential. So exponential CY over PY minus 1. So let's see the question. Here is a question for perpetuity as well. Kendra is a human resource director and wants to offer a new employee perk through a corporate scholarship program. Each year, 1,000 scholarships are to be made available to the children of the company employees. If the first scholarship are to be offered annually starting 1 year from now, what amount must be invested today at 7.5% compounded annually to fund the scholarship program in perpetuity? So that's the first question. So let's start doing that question. So what we want to find out, the present value ordinary 10,000, which is the amount of the scholarship, 10 scholarships of 1,000 each. So divided by, we can say 1 plus I, which is 0.075 exponential 1 over 1 minus 1. So if you calculate it, you get it like 1,033,000. So 133,333.33. If Kendra invested today in this perpetuity, so the company is going to be able to pay 10,000 scholarship each year. In the memory of his late father, who was highly successful marketing manager, Brian would like to set up a marketing scholarship with his university school of business. He is able to donate 100,000 from his father's estate to set up the fund. If the perpetuity fund can earn 6.3% compounded semi-annually, and the first scholarship is to provided immediately, what annual scholarship fund can be offered? Again, this is a very simple question. We want to find out the perpetuity for this what will be the PMT for this perpetuity if we invest $100,000. So let's see here, like we want to invest, that's a present value, due here because we want to pay immediately, right? So it's a beginning. So PMT into 1 over 1 plus 0.0315 is biannually. So 2 by 1 minus 1, and this is going to be 1 plus whole, right? So if you calculated PMT, so you get it from this value, we get it like 16.626892. This is equal to 100,000. So PMT is equal to 6,014.35. So that's going to be our scholarship for marketing payment for annually. Now last thing is a lease. And lease is a contract by which the owner of an asset gives another party an exclusive right to possess and use the asset under specified condition for a specific period of time in return for agreed amount payment. And in other words, you are able to borrow something for a period of time and make payment on it. At the end of the lease, the asset is usually returned to the owner, or it can be purchased outright for a depreciated price. The owner of the asset is known as a lessor. The owner is known as lessor, while the borrowing party is known as lessee. The lease is very common in buying assets like cars and other assets for a business purposes. Airlines lease the aeroplanes, and shipping companies lease the ships. So leasing companies lease those very high value assets to their operators, and they earn money over, and then they pay the lease payments. So here is an example. Mazda is advertising a new Mazda 3 Sports with a MSRP inclusive of all taxes, delivers and fee for $39,091.41. It offers a 48-month lease with the lease rate of 3.9% effectively. The residual value of the vehicle is 13,354. Determine the monthly lease payment if a 2,500 down payment is made. So as I mentioned in the beginning, that lease is a very special type of annuity in which there is a down payment and there is a residual value, or at which the lessee can buy the asset. So these two things are should not be a part of a lease loan or a lease amount. So how we can settle this? Because it's a down payment, this is the present value of the asset. The down payment is also in a present value, but this, which we call it as a residual value or the future payout value of the asset, is a future value. Now, first what we have to do, we have to convert this future value or a residual value which is in future to the present value. So when we convert this into a present value, and by adding up this with the down payment and subtracting from the loan amount or the lease amount the whole price of the asset, then the remaining portion is actually a leased amount, the amount which is leased by the lessor. So then we have to calculate the things that we can calculate, the PMT, that how much they have to pay per month in order to cover that lease amount. The second, so let's start, we do this question in a way. We want to calculate, as I mentioned, that the lease payment. So let's start. So first of all, as a step one, what we have to do, as a step one, we have to calculate the present value of the residual value, or the present value of the buyout price. Then so present value, the buyout price is 13,354, divided by 1 plus 0.039 exponential 4. So if you divide it, we get it 11,459.06497. So this plus, so overall, if we want to find out the present value due, so what we have to do, we have to subtract this 36,000 because this is already subtracted the down payment. So 591.41 minus 11,459.06497. So it's going to be 25,132.34503. Now we want to find out the PMT. So it's going to be 25,132.34503 exponential, PMT is equal to 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.039 exponential 1 by 12, right? And this whole exponential is 48 and divided by 1 plus 0.039 exponential 1 by 12, 1 by this is 12, sorry, 1 by 12 minus 1, right, into PMT into 1 plus 0.039 exponential 1 by 12. So if you solve for PMT, you get it, PMT is equal to 563.78. So for this much the car, you have to pay 563.78 for the 4 years per month in the beginning of the per month, and down payment is 2,500, and at the end you are going to buy it with the residual value of 13,354. The second question is Bradford Enterprises just updated its computer mainframe system and leased its new equipment under a 2-year contract requiring fixed quarterly payment of 17,300. Alternatively, it could have borrowed the money through a financial institution at a 6.5% compounded semi-annually. What liability amount, the capitalized lease liability, should be recorded on the company's balance sheet on the day of the contract was signed, as well as after 5 payments? What is going to be the leased amount? So let's start the first part, the part A. That is very simple. What we want to find out, the present value due 17,000, which is a PMT, 300 into 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.0325 exponential 2 by 4 whole, which is n, and you know n is 8, divided by 1 plus 0.0325 exponential 2 by 4 minus 1 into 1 plus 0.0325 exponential 2 by 4, right? And by this way you see it is going to be 130. That's a leased value, or the capitalization of that leased liability, 37. Now if we want to find out the value of after 5 payments. So the only change is about n, and the rest of the things are very same. So what we do, we write it like same, 300, 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.0325 exponential 2 by 4, the whole exponential. Now this 8 is going to be 3. Why? Because 3 left, the 1 or 1 by 2, you can write it like this. So I'm just, so after 5 payments they can write it like a 51,080.99. That's so this is all what we want to discuss from this chapter. 4 different types of special annuities: deferred payment, constant growth annuity payments, and perpetuity, and the fourth one is a lease type of annuities. So thank you very much, and I hope you like it. And